Alrighty, let's get started. Happy New Year and welcome to the Scuttlebutt podcast. I'm Rich Mellon.
And I'm Sandy Mellon. And as you all probably know already, Scuttlebutt podcast is part of the Trapping Inc. family of media.
Empire. I keep telling you, just make it simple.
Okay.
Media empire.
Part of the Trapping Inc. media empire. So we're really glad that you could join us today. Thanks very much for being here. And like Rich said, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday to me, all of those kinds of things that have been going on since we talked to you last. But it's been a really long time since we did a podcast.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, you do podcasts and then we usually like to keep 3 weeks to a month ahead of time. So that then they're published in 3 weeks a month after we do them. Well, this time it was like last week I released one that we did back in the
end of November.
Yeah, end of November.
Because it was before. And the only reason I remember that is because we were talking about setting up for Lynx and Otter because we hadn't done that yet. And December 1st was the opener for both of those. So, yeah. Anyway, lots of water under the bridge. And there actually is water in some places on our trap line under the bridge this year.
But we had a little bit of fun with your...
Oh, yeah. You
Christmas
guys all
present.
got to see what my Christmas present was. And then, yeah.
The lighted, heated outhouse for the girl who has everything.
Uh-huh. And the fact that I am going to start today to make a list for next year.
When I say, what do you want for Christmas? And you go, I don't know, honey. Then my mind is a churn, and this is what I come up with.
Yeah.
I thought it was either a stroke of genius or just a stroke, but it turned out pretty good.
It was very unique. I'm not sure how many people get a heat lamp in the outhouse as a Christmas gift, but you
got to admit.
I don't know another person who got that for Christmas.
Unique gifts always come. And not only that, but you've now sat out there a few mornings and two thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm just not going to go there at all. Just doesn't need to be part of our conversation today.
Well, show them what else you really got for Christmas.
What I really got for Christmas is a pair of these. And this is sheared beaver. For any of you who have watched season 5 of the TV show, we talk a lot. And then at the last show, the 13th episode of season 5, we do show our king-size beaver blanket that was made for us by Sisson Furs from Red Deer, Alberta.
Yeah.
And they were from beavers that we had trapped ourselves on our trap line, and then we sent them out to be tanned and sheared, and then we gave them to Lyle Scoble, Lyle and Carrie Lou. But Lyle is the artiste who takes such great care of us and every other customer that they have. So this is what's left from those beavers, and it's really cool. I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't get a close up here, but these are like tails and faces that make up the edges here.
There's the whiskers off his face.
Because you can see the whiskers. And then, of course, he knows... he's so intuitive about working with fur, and I guess that's just...
Fur's got a grain, and so he
made a patchwork.
Contrasting grains. They're just gorgeous.
They are heirloom items.
Yes, family heirlooms.
Yeah, they will certainly outlast us, as will the beaver blanket. So I'm not sure whether they're going to go as a set and there's going to be a wrestling contest amongst our children as to who gets it. Who knows, but we won't be here to referee.
That's at least 100 years away from now.
That's at least 100 years away. Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, that was my real Christmas present. Not that I don't enjoy the other one, but we're not going to talk about it.
I got a Christmas present as well, too.
Yes, you did.
Somebody got me a new pair of goggles. Now, you watch the show, you know how many times I lose stuff or I break stuff. I'm hard on crap. When something...
Who knew?
When something gets my thumbs up, man, it's earned it. And so I actually never did goggles until just a few years ago.
Yes.
And it was my trip to Inuvik that I got worried about because we were doing, at one point, we had plans of going up out to the Arctic Ocean. And so there was going to be 200 and some miles on a snowmobile, one way. And I got thinking, maybe I should maybe get goggles. Because I always thought it was just a manly thing. Frostbite was just another day. And,
Freeze your eyeballs, no big deal.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll be able to blink here in a minute
Man
or
up.
two. And man up, exactly. And so then I started. So I got goggles that had fans in them. Waste of goddamn time. I had goggles that were called Sunrise, and that was supposed to be a color that was supposed to enhance light no matter whether it was light or dark out. And I had yellow ones, and like, what a pile of crap. The only thing that worked for me was clear ones.
I don't know. It's really hard to figure out, how he feels about all of this.
I tried it all. Yeah. I spent my money. In the last 3 years, I've probably put $400 into goggles, $500 into goggles.
I would say
I lose them, I break them, I can't stand them anymore or whatever, and away they go. But I had a pair that was working, and they were not a very expensive pair, but they had a double layer of plexiglass or whatever it's called for the
plastic.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it was a double layer until one day a birch seed got in between, and I'm like, I can't. This birch seed's blinking around and flipping around in front of me, and it's like, and so I tap on them, and it settles to the bottom. And okay, next bump I hit, it's up in front of my eyes again, bouncing around. It's like, but it drove me crazy. We don't even have a lot of birch out on our line, so where that came from, that was fascinating. But the new
you should have looked around for chaga.
Yeah, the new set does not have any birch seed in it. They're awesome.
Yeah, they are nice. And then I also got you a set of wireless headphones so that you can listen to podcasts on your travels when I'm not there to chatter your ear off.
Yeah, I can listen to your melodic voice all day long.
Oh, sure. That's what he says. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, it's been a great holiday season for us and a very busy December, just getting all of the Lynx line set up. I think you've got just about all your pens set up now.
We're going to get to that. Yeah. First, let's do some housekeeping here.
Oh, okay.
Our Pursuit broadcast in the U.S. is over. We were Q3 and Q4, so it ended New Year's Day kind of thing.
And that we've been contacted by a lot of our viewers in the U.S. who see us on Pursuit and are quite concerned because they're not seeing us right now. So our contract with Pursuit was only for 2 quarters, as Rich said. Yeah. Q3 and Q4. But they do have an app that you can watch.
It's called Pursuit Up TV, and you can find it off the Pursuit channel itself, and you can get it from Google or the Apple Store, and it allows. What happens is that it has a 90-day lag time. So our shows that aired 90 days ago on the channel are airing today on the Pursuit app. You can also get it on Pluto TV. New Samsung TVs have it come loaded, unless you're in Canada, and they don't allow it.
Oh, but in Canada, you can watch all 5 seasons, as well as the numerous other, we've got, this is podcast number 35 or 36.
36.
So all of them you can listen to or you can watch on YouTube.
Yep.
And then there's all of the reviews that we've done, as well as tech tips and all kinds of things that are on YouTube. So
Amazon Prime in the States continues to pull big numbers.
Absolutely.
If you are a member of Amazon Prime, it's just a simple matter of searching for Trapping Inc. TV, and all 5 seasons are there.
We should say, though, that to find, to go to Pursuit, we can go to www.pursuituptv.com /trapping-inc
That's what you would search in order to find us on the
so
Pursuit
that like if you look for us on Pursuit Up app, then that's how you'll find us. But anyway, as you said, the Amazon Prime numbers are big. And we can also be found on YouTube. Yes, YouTube is really growing.
We just rocketed over 2 million views. And that doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that our average view is over 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, that's a world where 3 seconds is considered a view.
Yeah.
So that's Trapping Inc. 2015. But it brings us to another question. One of the things we need to do is we need to find ourselves a platform or a home. And we're
a little concerned about what's the right word?
Well, it's well known that what we do is not mainstream, and so if we wanted to have a a lefty political argument every day, they would never mess with our numbers. But one day I release one video and it goes like this. And a week later I release another video and it's like it never existed.
So there's some censorship that we're a
Well, it's not
little
even
concerned
censorship.
about.
It's just how they adjust the logarithms so that
Yeah.
whether you're being seen or not, right?
Yeah.
And that's tough. So we
Over
want
the last year, we have looked at the Patreon
Yeah.
method of delivering different content and with different access, I guess. I mean, yes, we're busy and we've got a lot of stuff going on, but we want to connect with our fans a little differently and our viewers a little differently than what we have before. So we're just wondering what the best way, how do people want to connect with us?
Well, you can't build a business model on YouTube.
No.
Because one week your
as you said,
views and
yeah.
your pay is here, and the next week it's here.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I just released that aging and sexing Martin by their skulls. Right? They demonetized it. They won't monetize it.
Because it has skinned animals, I guess.
I guess, like I said, I understand that we're not mainstream and that we are.
Yeah.
I think we're more mainstream than they consider. I mean, we're not hipster stream. Put it that way.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Although this is kind of looking hipsterish there.
Plaid.
You need a beard.
I need
to
a
go
beard.
With it. Yeah.
No. No, I don't.
Anyway, I mean, so that's not monetized. So any of that work, I don't get paid for, and we want to share it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it anyway.
Yep.
But we need to. It has to be something that we can pay for it, or we can't keep at it. You
Yeah.
got to pay the mortgage somehow, right?
Yeah. He's been listening. We got to pay the mortgage somehow. Yeah. So we don't know. Is it an app? Is it a subscriber website of some sort? What do you guys want to see? And, is there something that we're not delivering that people do want to see?
Yeah. And another thing, while we're talking about this, we got lots more videos on the way, and like we're doing some skinning videos, that kind of stuff. They'll probably be demonetized as well.
I expect so, yeah.
And that's too bad because they'll drive huge numbers.
Yep.
Like it'd be nothing to get 100, 200,000 views on a skinning video, but and we're going to be doing more podcasts. We're just moving into. I've now sourced out software that
Yes.
allows us at least to do the podcast in an audio format. Mm-hmm. The video format is supposed to be coming, but we're going to start in an audio so we can do a lot more podcasts.
Well, our difficulty is our location. So, as many people know, we are in northwestern Alberta, and we love it here because there aren't that many people here. But that's also the curse because there aren't that many people here, and we do need to keep our content fresh and invite a more diverse group of trappers into the Trapping Inc. world and
take a look at our podcast numbers.
Yeah.
I released a new podcast. 3 days later, it's in the top 5 in Canada.
Yes.
Okay. 3 days later. Now, and then 3 days after that, before I release a new podcast, I'm down at 60 or 70.
Yeah.
But you got to keep popping that off.
Exactly.
Well, we need a lot of. We need a lot of people to be able to talk to.
Well,
so
we are going to go on a little bit of a tour this summer.
we are, and you know what? If you guys want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us at info@trappinginc.com.
That's INC.com.
Yeah.
I just put it out there because
I know you banker people.
It's this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah. If you know somebody, or if you're interested in doing it yourself, I'm not guaranteeing that anybody will get on. We have certain criteria. Like talking to a blind guy was a lot of fun. And there's people who have just because it was so cool to watch him. Like he said, you ever watch a guy set a trap by Braille? No, that was pretty cool. All right, sorry about the technical difficulties there.
We ran out of batteries.
The digital recorder, we do our audio and our video separately because I'm kind of geeky and it's so clean that way. But the digital recorder needs its batteries changed once a year, and I thought it was July, not January.
It was a J month, so it's good.
Anyway, we are looking for people to talk to on the podcast. Now we're going to be able to do it over the internet.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've sourced out software. We've got some USB microphone. It seems that all my guests on the other end are going to need even a pair of iPod
Earphones
that have have the built-in mic, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And maybe even be able to attach.
Lots of people have those.
Yeah,
it seems, and because I see them all over the place.
Or a USB mic of some sort on their computer. It looks like it's going to be straightforward, but we're looking for information. We're looking for people's names and contacts. We have some friends in Montana.
Yes.
And a friend in Wyoming, another over in Idaho that we want to go see as well, because we enjoy very much the interpersonal stuff. Like, I'm trying to see who all is going to be at the National Trappers Association this year in
it's the end of July.
Kalamazoo. End of July or middle of July?
Oh.
Maybe 16th, 18th. I don't know.
Oh, I guess we'll have to check it out. But anyway, it's in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Yeah.
And that a road trip would be awesome to. Yeah,
you love road trips.
I do love road trips. I mean, we always have a good time. We see some new country, and we listen to podcasts, and we chatter, and we just and then we get to meet really cool people along the way. So it's really lots of fun.
Okay, so now we've gone through our technical difficulties, and we wandered down the road about podcast people and everything. What else do you want to see? Like if we brought up a dedicated site or something, like personal interaction. We're very active on Facebook and all that stuff. I mean, we're easy to talk to. Do we do a get together? I don't know what. I do a lot of writing.
Yeah.
Perhaps we
can publish some of that, maybe
PDF, or tell us what you like. I mean, you guys, lots of you folks got to belong to some stuff. I mean, we're way up here in the north. Like I know the internet's a big world and all that, but we just don't have a lot of interaction.
Well, yeah, and it would be really fun to hear from people, because you never know how we can all come together as a community, even though it's virtual.
I know. We get so many nice letters from people.
Yes.
And I especially love, I love the ones where they send us pictures of the little guys and they're holding up a beaver or guys. That's
it's a generic term.
Generic term when it comes to me, but they're holding up a beaver or they're holding up a catfish or whatever. I love those. Like, I mean, we have.
Well, that just goes right back to when we raised our own kids,
and we have grandkids and all that now. So, anyway. Get a hold of us, whether you've got somebody we should talk to on the podcast.
That's how we found Mark Montsebraten, who's the trapper that we were talking about, who has only 6% of his vision. We happened to be at a trade show with our coffee sponsor.
Yep.
And somebody came up to us and asked us if we would like to go trapping with a blind trapper. And that was just sort of bing. That's unusual. But it doesn't have to be unusual. We love talking to people. Just people. Wow. So, I mean, with the trapping bend to it, of course, but...
we don't know many of the trappers in the United States. We don't know many of them at all. So there's a lot of big names that we don't know.
Right.
And that's no reflection on them. It's just that trapping is not something that gets a lot of press. And so we're kind of breaking a lot of trail here.
We are.
And we need to be able to meet these people. Somebody has to tell us about these people. And
yes.
I don't care what they do in trapping, I would love to talk to them. I'd love to sit down and talk to them and visit. It's awesome.
Well, and I think that's the thing about our podcast. If you're watching or listening for the first time, please go back and listen and watch to some of our others, because it really is just a conversation with people. I mean, we have a good time just chatting together, but when we get together and talk to somebody, it really is just about having a conversation in somebody's living room, kitchen table.
It's no stress.
Cabin, whatever. It's not a high stress thing. It's just a bunch of people having a conversation.
We just had digital breakdown here, and everything's still going.
Yeah.
My hair didn't light on fire or anything, so.
What hair?
Anyway, get in touch with us. info@trappinginc.com, please.
Yeah.
Whether it's suggestions for people we should talk to, or suggestions for where should we go to a website. I don't think Patreon will work. I think I'm afraid to build a community in Patreon and get it taken away from us. Well,
and people with much bigger personalities and less... I don't want to say that trapping is controversial, but there's always that element that seems to come into it, but other people who are just more right-leaning in their topics of conversation have been censored in the Patreon world. So we don't want that to happen because we are sincere about building a community who learn from each other and just,
and I mean,
be common people with each other.
Face it, at my age, I ain't got time to do over.
Okay. I do.
Oh, you're just a spring chicken.
Yeah, that's me.
So let's get on to some trapping now. Let's talk about trapping because it's been months of it go on here.
Yes. Yeah, so December 1st, as we said earlier, is when otter and lynx open in this area where our trap line is. And you've got, I think, just about all of your kitty pens set up now.
Pretty much. It's been tough because we started out with a whole bunch of snow and then it just slowly disappeared. We had a crazy big rain. And we ended up with...
and we've had very mild temperatures through December.
Well, and it's just those situations where you have a lot of sun, because we are sunny in the wintertime.
Yeah.
If it's not snowing, it's sunny.
It could be cold, but it's usually very sunny here.
But what has happened is we've lost so much snow, and a lot of, if our trap line was this square here of paper, part of it, most of my cat stuff is right in the middle, okay? And that in the middle is all what muskeg. And I don't know if you're familiar with muskeg at all, but it is moss.
Yeah,
and so
wet moss.
Yeah, it's black spruce or tamarack. Where the black spruce can't live, the tamarack live. That's how bad it is. And then after that, when it's just grass, you're in really bad stuff. But
you don't stop anywhere.
This sphagnum moss, it's like great big humps, right?
Yeah.
And in the summertime, it's like driving over whipped marshmallow frosting. It's just like floating and soft, and you step out in it, you might sink to your knees. Or further sometimes.
Or further. But in the wintertime, when it's all frozen.
Think great, huge, giant piles of frozen horse turds. And it's... because I have so far to go, like the one day is 160 kilometers. Mm-hmm. And that's when I go down through the middle and then where all my kitty pens and that are. So I broke out the snowmobile and I just discovered tonight that I've ruined a track.
Well, because there hasn't been very much snow.
There's not a lot of snow. But even with the snowmobile, that I use the Argo for the rest of the check, but for that one check, I've been using the snowmobile. But I'm averaging like 7-8 kilometers an hour. So like 5 miles an hour.
That's not very, it's not great.
Yeah.
And it makes for a long, bumpy day.
Oh, well, I've had whiplash so bad that, I mean, I have a headache because of my head bouncing around and the stress and that, like, it has really sucked. But we are catching cats.
Yeah. How many have we caught now? 7?
Yeah, I think so.
7, yeah.
Or 6.
6 or 7, I can't remember which. But anyway, we have a quota. In Alberta, there's a quota. So depending on where your line is located, how much land is involved will determine your quota in various areas for various animals. So for us, we have a quota of 22 lynx and 12 otter.
Yes.
Correct? And 18 fishers. So those are the 3 quota animals.
And there's the wolverine.
And wolverine. Yeah. And we're only allowed to catch one of those.
Yeah, but we don't have many wolverine where we are. We're just one of those
people north of us.
Oh, yeah. All around us do. We for whatever reason, we don't where we are.
Yeah, but it could be a lot because of all that muskeg.
I don't know. I don't know. But
that's a big part of our...
With lynx... and I've set up a whole bunch of cameras again to try and catch what happens, because I try and tell people that lynx die really quickly in the snare.
Yeah.
When you skin them, you have to be careful because their carotid arteries are so exposed that you nick them and they just bleed everywhere, right? And then that's, of course, as you're pulling the head.
Right.
And then just the blood because there's no muscles over top of those carotids at all. Like they're right there. You can see them. This is like a fisher is the same way.
Yes.
Those carotids are right there. So... I had one, though, that he got caught in the neck, and usually there's a whirlwind hooskadoo there for half a second, and I mean, my pens are low rent. Let's face it, they're just little sticks stuck in the snow, right? That's all it takes to stop a lynx, and so he goes around like the Tasmanian devil twice, and he's dead in 30 seconds, but he's wrecked my pen. Well, this guy jumped and went through, and then he jumped up again, and I have so there's my toggle pole that I have my snare on, right? And my toggle pole, I had, for whatever reason, usually it's up at the top. I take and wire it over back to a branch or a tree or whatever, so they can't go very far, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, this one here, I for some reason wired it down lower. Well, he went through there and he jumped back over, and he managed to loop the toggle wire around his neck as well as. You know what? I went in there and I cut him out of there, and I took 2 sticks and went. Put a new snare in, and that was it. It was done.
That doesn't happen very often.
No, usually you got to rebuild them. Like I said, they're pretty low rent.
But the lynx numbers are up this year. They seem to be.
Well, what's happening is we're getting a more mature average. We had got down pretty low, and then of course all the bunnies came back, and lynx are one of those animals that you're never going to. They're like trying to control rabbits with hunting or chicken or whatever. They fluctuate up and down a lot. But now we're getting a bunch of 2-3-year-old lynx now again, and so we're getting a bigger average, and we're still catching the kittens and that. So you know that it's still happening. They're having lots of babies and all. But I just had a 25-pound male shove his head into a
330.
A 330, yeah. Well, I've been. If you watch the show, you've seen how we went up north to Steen River with the Schaubs and they're stucco wire pens. Okay, you take 8 feet of stucco wire, 54-inch stucco wire, and you take and mount it on 2 poles. The poles have got to be like 12, 14 inches apart so that you can wire a
so trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trees. Wire a 330 conibear or body grip trap across there. Now, you set it about a foot off the ground because a wolverine is going to come in and he's going to jump in, right? He's going to take and climb one of the trees, get inside, start eating, and then jump to go out.
Right.
Like he forgets that there's a trap there or whatever. And you take and set up snare poles, like poles with a snare on it all the way around wherever the lynx are going to walk. That's usually where you get your lynx.
Right.
Like, I mean, I've shown it before many times in the show, and that there's a lynx, there's a lynx, but they're always there. They're very seldom get into the 330. And this was a big male.
Yeah.
A big male, and he took and shoved his head. Well, he had one leg through, doing the typical lynx thing, or the cat thing, right? Trying to sneak in, and then he tripped the trigger with his head, and
that was that.
Oh yeah, there's not even no movement, no nothing. It's over,
just,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they die pretty quickly.
So we made notes this time too, so we didn't wander around and get too lost. But one licked off. What does that mean?
Well, a wolf came in, and one of them was laying there in the snow. It had been snowed on, and I wish it would snow more because the cats move when it snows.
Well, apparently it's supposed to snow tonight.
Yeah, I hope so because you'll go there and the cats will have snow on them, and you'll know they moved during or before the snow. That's they have best ability to hunt, and I guess. But lots of times you'll see that their tracks are nice and fresh in the snow, and then they get snowed on as they walk out in the open and then boom. So I wish that it snows more, but the one that was dead, and a single wolf, the only one that's been on the trap line so far this year, licked some of the snow off of it.
How interesting.
Yeah, and because you're always worried about that, because usually that's what a wolverine does, except he eats them. Wolverine eats frozen, he eats frozen meat really well. Well, so does a wolf, but for a wolf to get close to it with the smell of that steel around its neck, right? That snare, that's unusual. That is. Yeah. So he licked it off and then trotted away. Yeah. Didn't pee on it or anything, which was unusual too.
Huh. Well, something might have bumped him off of it too. You never know.
You don't know. You don't know. But we did have a wolverine show up this year.
Oh yeah, the smash and grab.
Well, it's one of those frustrating things because you can't. I don't know how many 60 or 80. I probably have 80 pens going, right?
Yeah.
And more of them are set up with a 330 on them for in case a wolverine shows up. Because you never know where a wolverine's going to be. Usually the big drainages, that kind of stuff is where you look for them to happen. Well, this
was in an unusual spot.
it is like not even a baseball throw from the busiest road up there.
Yep.
Okay, and in the middle of the swamp.
Yep.
And everything else.
Just not a place where we've ever encountered a wolverine
Never
before.
even saw wolverine
No
tracks.
No nothing, no reason really for them to be there. So that, I mean, it could be a number of different things. Could be just, happened to come down that line. Maybe maybe that one has been somewhere else, or maybe the numbers are getting better in that area. And I mean, that's one of the things that the Alberta Conservation Association has done, is a big study on wolverine, and they travel a lot.
Oh,
so,
huge. Yeah.
That could be part of it as well.
Well, and that's the thing, and there was always this belief, that's where education's a good thing. There was always a belief that wolverine was they called it the ghost of the wilderness or whatever they called it, but that it was very fearful of noise and industry and all that. And wolverine are in downtown Rainbow Lake and Zama City all the time, which are industrial complexes.
Yeah.
Like wolverine are not bothered whatsoever by vehicles or anything else.
No, because I think they think that they can take on anything. Really?
Yeah, they're a big weasel, is what they are. I mean, and they got, them the little white beasts will play tug of war with you over a frozen chunk of chicken guts. I can't imagine what a wolverine would do.
Rip your arm off, probably. Anyway, so that was kind of interesting. So now you're going to probably set up a different kind of pen there.
I did.
And
he'll never come back.
No, well, you never know. We might be back. Well, we're going to go up again tomorrow for another trip, and you never know what we're going to run into.
Well, I took and I actually put in a wire cage, and I set a 330 there. All he did is he went in and he smashed his way through the side of like the low rent pen that I had there, and then he just went and took the stick and he ate the stick that had my lure on it.
Yeah,
I've never had anything other than a cat ever be attracted to the.
And they've just licked it off or rubbed themselves all over it or whatever. But he ate the stick.
He ate it, and smashed everything and left. And I mean, of course, he would go under all of the snares because the snares are set for cats, so they're set higher, and so no loss there. But it was frustrating because he's big track. Yeah, he'd be a really nice wolverine. Oh man. Yeah.
Well, one of these days, we're going to catch one. So it's really cool though, because lots of our friends catch them, and they're all north and or west of us. Yeah. So you never know. I mean, maybe populations are just getting better, and they're starting to move around territory, and they found their way down to our place. So that would be okay.
They sure seem to be getting better. Yeah. That's good. That's a good thing to see.
Yeah.
And I like that we've. The little bit of work that we've done on that has indicated the population is way higher than they've ever been. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's something that trappers have been involved with, and I think we've talked about it on previous podcasts, but just the citizen science that is helping to uncover and dispel a lot of myths about fur-bearing animals, in particular the wolverine in this case. Really cool. Really cool.
And I want to talk then about
fur sales.
Fur sales, the updates so far. Now, there's been some, like the Thompson
fur tables.
Fur tables went off. Some went off in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. There's been a little bit of fur sales going on. Now, coyotes are very strong.
Yeah.
Coyotes, the western coyotes are very, very strong. And it is nothing for fur buyers to be paying $130 a coyote right now.
Wow. So that suggests if a fur buyer is paying that, they're the middleman, and then it goes to auction from there. Or they might have, do they have agreements with some of the other end-use buyers?
Somebody like GFW, probably, I mean, they're a large company, so they probably do have, maybe they have a deal with Canada Goose or whatever. I don't know. But I do know for the most part that when a fur buyer is buying, his product is going to the auction. Yeah.
So there is an expectation then if fur buyers are paying $130 for coyotes, that they're going to go higher than that. So that's cool. Although some of the other fur is not fetching as high.
I guess the thing to talk about first off, though, is the difference between auction and dealing with a fur buyer.
Okay.
I mean, when you send off to auction, you've got a wait time. Okay?
Yes.
Like, for the big auction that's going to happen this year with fur harvesters and that happens in North Bay, Ontario. Their last receiving date is January 19th.
Oh, I thought it was a 10th.
Yeah, I looked it up. January
Oh.
19th. There are, go to their website
Yeah.
at furharvesters.com
Yeah.
and check, because your area might be different. I mean, there is
Okay.
shipping involved and all that
Yep.
kind of stuff, right? But so you send it off, and then there's, you got to pay a percentage of your sale goes to the auction.
Yep.
There is some a
Well,
charge
because
for,
they provide a service to
Well, sure,
sell
they-
that fur, so
they-
they have to have
they,
something for it, and that's not unusual.
No,
but
they
you're
drum
not going
your
to get
fur to make it look good.
Yep.
So it goes through dumbing, and there's I think it's a buck a pelt or something
Yeah.
for that kind of handling. And so there are some charges there, and you have to wait then after the auction. Then there's a period, and then you get your money.
Yeah.
And so if you can wait, usually your best dollars come from the auction.
Yep. And everybody watches online. I'm sure that most of our viewers on this are very familiar with, because boy, the Facebook page really lights up the day of the auction because everybody's on there watching what the prices are doing and whatnot. So it's kind of cool.
But if you're dealing with a fur buyer,
Yeah.
there's the upside to the fur buyer. It's cash in your hand that day,
Yeah.
and
And there's no waiting, and
there's
yeah.
no waiting involved, and there's none of the other charges. You take
Yeah.
a lower price, guaranteed.
Yep.
That 130 coyote might have went for 170 or 180 at the auction. Who
Yeah.
knows, right?
Yeah.
Most of the fur is pulling better numbers,
Yeah.
which is a good thing to say. Everybody's waiting to see what this first auction is.
We were kind of surprised at the muskrat prices.
Well, yeah. Now, when you look at the fur tables, and the fur
Yeah.
tables are generally, I mean, they're usually cash in hand.
Yeah.
And so they're, you're selling to a fur buyer, and they're
Expecting to make a profit at the auction.
exactly. But muskrat was averaging
$3.
$3. Yeah.
Yeah. Which we thought was pretty good.
So I would imagine, like just past years now, they might average $7.
Well, they might.
At the auction.
And what typically happens, or what we've seen happen anyway, is when mink prices go way up,
Yeah.
then people go to muskrat.
Well, but there are no ranched furs at all at Fur Harvesters.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying when, there have been, and there have been,
Yep.
the prices have been elevated. We talked about this on the last podcast around NAFA and the ranched fur industry, and a little bit about that. But
I used to
typically-
have those arguments with them about that their ranch fur stuff wasn't good for the wild fur, and no, it's not true. And then when the bottom started falling out, and then it was they're all long faces, and they're moaning about, well, as soon as a female mink hits $12, then it's going to kill the muskrat market. And I says, what? Well, yeah, because a female mink is the same as 4 or 5 muskrat.
right.
So then, muskrat have got to be worth a lot less than $12.
Right.
For 4 or 5 of them, you got to buy a buck each kind of thing to make it worthwhile to work with a muskrat rather than to work with that single mink. And I says, and you're the ones that always told me that ranch fur had nothing to do
Yeah.
with. Yeah. But
Oh, well, people forget what their talking points are sometimes. So anyway, I mean, there is some reasons to be
buzz, yeah.
excited about maybe where fur prices are going this year.
Oh, and if you are a beaver guy, castor like $5 an ounce. That was at the fur tables.
Right.
$5 an ounce.
Yep.
Okay, that is and that's at the fur tables once again. Yeah, and that stuff is going back.
And that also goes at the auction.
Yeah. So there's good money in just doing the castor for
Yeah.
beaver.
Well, and then, think about what else. I mean, I know a lot of people are trapping and they want to get good prices for their fur, but consider what else you might be able to do that would elevate your take on your fur. Like, consider doing things like pillows like this and whatnot, because you can work with somebody to do that. You just, and these are...
Look at the feedback we've got on them already.
Oh.
And the people that have already contacted
Sissons, yeah.
Sissons to get some work done with them. One of the things I want to talk about here is if you want to check out the auction, it's at furharvesters.com. And first-time shippers do not need to set up an account. Once they get your fur, they will issue you a number and set up an account for you. And then then you can watch everything happen online, that kind of stuff. But you do not have to have an account before shipping. So if you go to their website, it has the shipping information, it has the agent information, pickup schedules, and condition of sale.
Yeah.
Like the pickup schedules is really important.
It is.
Most of the places here in Canada, and that is going to be January 19th. Some of the more remote areas, it's going to be before that.
Yeah. So pay attention to whatever's on the website, because that's where you're going to get your best information. Please don't rely on our dates that we're giving you, because they may be different in your area.
What? You think we might get stuff wrong?
No, not wrong. Just, you can't just hang your hat on one source of information. So we always encourage people to seek out read for yourselves, discover for yourselves. We'll help you in giving you where to go and so on, so that you can get that information fairly easily. Everybody has a phone these days, so the information is really at your fingertips, literally.
Yeah, the average car has more computing ability today than what NASA had when they sent the first first rocket to the moon.
That's a little scary. Yeah.
Well, I think we're done.
I think we are. I think we'll just put out one last encouragement, I guess, for you to get in touch with us in terms of guests and
guest
topics.
Ideas. Give us some feel. Like, I mean, we're operating in a vacuum here. We want to know what people want. Like, does a subscription service work? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what people want.
Well, I guess, depending on the feedback that we get in terms of what content people are looking for, then we can make a determination as to how best to deliver that for people.
And sometimes it's scary, because I can remember when way back 20 some years ago, we first started with producing TV, and it was a hunting show, and you'd be on a hunting board forum and you'd say, well, what do you guys think? Should we have, what do you think about music? And one guy was, I hate music, should be no music. The next guy, you need more rock and roll. And it was like back and forth. It was like, well, that was a dumb question.
And we don't like commercials. Can you make it commercial free?
Yeah.
Not on television, you can't. But that is the beauty of a lot of other methods of delivery, is that you don't have to have commercials either. But somehow we have to get paid for that content, and that's how that works with TV. So.
Well, right now we get paid for everything else is being supported by the TV.
Yes.
Like all of the digital stuff, this podcast, everything is being supported by the TV. So if we can come up with a format that allows us to not have to pay a TV channel, and still go ahead and produce more and more. And
be pretty exclusive to the trapping world. So,
and I mean, personally, doing a video on those skulls and that kind of stuff, and then to have it demonetized.
Yeah.
You kind of shy away from stuff that you're going to get demonetized on, right?
Yeah.
And that's bad, because there's a lot of good information out there, a lot of stuff that we should be showing people.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, it has been a pleasure, and maybe we'll see you down the line.